Hello students, welcome back to IGT, that is Introduction to Graph Theory. This is chapter 3 going on 3.1. So here we are discussing about matchings. We have done matchings definition, some definition and some example regarding matchings, perfect matching, saturated vertices, set of vertices, and maximum matching we have done, maximal matching we have done, and now this was in lecture 22nd and this is lecture 23rd. So here come to M alternating path. So what do you understand by M alternating path? M alternating path is a path which alternates between edges in a matching M and edges not in M. Okay, so for a given matching, this matching will be given. So for a given matching, a path is said to be M alternating that alternates between edges in M and edges not in M. Okay, for example, if you are just taking a path starting from this vertex, this is belonging to this edge is belonging to M, this edge is not belonging to M, then this edge is belonging to M, then this edge is not belonging to M, and so on. Okay, so kind of this path you will be having, that is M alternating path. Okay, so here definition done. For a given matching M, this matching M will be given. An M alternating path is a path that alternates between the edges in M and edges not in M. For example, you are just given a graph G1. Consider this graph. Here a matching M1 is also given. So any matching. So here I am just taking maximum matching. This is E1, E3 and E6. So this is given by M1, and here a path you can consider E1 that contains as E1, as E4, as E3, as E5 and as E6. So this is the M alternating path. As you can see, this contains edges from M alternatively and not edges from M. Correct. So that is, this contains an alternating edge of M. Okay. So here this is the this is one example of M alternating path. Okay. M1 is the matching. So M1 alternating path is given by this one. Okay. Next is, you can just take this one, this path E1, E2, E3. E1 and E3 are the edges in M1 and E2 is not as in M1, so it will be, this path is also M1 alternating. Okay, so you can consider this one, this one, this one. Okay, so this middle edge is not present in M1, that's why this alternates between the edges in M. Okay, so alternatively it is containing the edges of M. Okay, M1, so this is also M1 alternating. So you can consider some M2 like E2 and E6. Then also you can have, if you contain M2 if you take just matching M as E2 and E6. So this is the E2 matching, M2 matching or some M matching. So here M alternating path is, this path is also M alternating, that is E2, E5 and E6, and also you can just take E1, E2, E5, E6. So that is also M alternating path for matching that contains E2 and E6. Okay. Now we can consider about, we can take some known example of M alternating path, that is the path which does not become alternating. Correct. So that is not containing the alternating edge. Correct. So here you can consider this M1 matching again. So for M1 matching we have E2, E5, E6. So here E2 and E5 continuously, these are not in M. Correct. Not in this matching. Okay, so here it is not M1 alternating. Here I have just highlighted which edge is present in M. So E6 is the edge in M1. Okay, so here these two edges are not part of M1. That's why this is not M alternating path. Okay, likewise you can consider some other is E4, E3, E5, E6. So that is again the not M1 alternating. Okay, so that's about this path. Now come to M augmenting path. So this for a given matching M, again an M alternating path whose endpoints are unsaturated by M. This is M augmenting path. For example, if you are having such matching, this one is a matching, and in some graph, and you have this one is a path. So here endpoints U and V of this path are not saturated by M. These are not present in matching M, correct? So this why these are not saturated by M, and this is M alternating. First it should be M alternating, and then it should the endpoints should not be saturated by M. That is these endpoints are not contained in matching in any way. Okay, so that is here means to say these are the no incident edge should be, or the matching should be incident with this one. Okay, no edge of matching should be incident with U and V. So that becomes the M augmented path. Okay, so again an M alternating path whose endpoints are unsaturated by M is M augmenting path. Okay, for example, you can consider this graph. So this is the graph I have just taken, G2. You can consider this M as E2, E4. So here I have highlighted it. E2 and E4 are the matching M. A path, here is the path. You can consider this path E1, E2, E3, E4, E5. So this is a path that is M alternating because it alternates between the edges in M and edges not in M, and its endpoints are not saturated by M, correct? So here its endpoints are not incident to any edge of M, that is not incident to E2, not incident with E4, correct? So this path becomes M augmenting path. Okay, now any path which is not M augmenting path, so you can consider this path, such that this path you can consider whose endpoints are saturated by M, that is, so these two are part of M, so the C3 is not belonging to M, so these endpoints you can see these are saturated by M, correct? So this is M augmenting M alternating path, but this is an alternating path by M, but not M augmenting path. Okay, not M augmenting path, as its and endpoints are saturated by this matching. Okay, because this point and this point are the endpoints of this path, and these are the saturated by M. These are present in M. Okay, as the incident points. Okay, now you can consider this path. This is E7, E3, E6. Now I want to say that this is a path which is not M alternating, that will not be an M augmenting. Obviously this is by definition only. So this is a path which is not M alternating, that's why this is not M augmenting. Okay, so that is, if you want to consider here E7, E3 and E6. So this is a path which is not M alternating. This is not M alternating, M is E2 E3. Okay, that's why it is not M augmenting. Okay, next is come to symmetric difference. So what do you understand by symmetric difference? Symmetric difference between two graphs. Okay, so here two graphs are given, G and H, with the same vertex edge. Okay, so G and H are given with the same vertex edge V. Then symmetric difference, it is denoted by G symmetric difference with H. So this is a small delta, that is a capital delta, but written as very small letter. Okay, so this is G symmetric difference with H. So remember, we have denoted by this capital delta of G was maximum degree, but this is between two graphs. If it is written, then it's symmetric difference. Okay, so here yeah, G and H are the graphs with vertex at V, and here you have symmetric difference will be also a graph with the same vertex edge. Okay, this will be same vertex edge. It will be, suppose ABCD and here you have G is with ABCD vertex, and here also same vertex edge. So symmetric difference is also having the same vertex edge. Okay, and whose edges are all those edges appearing in exactly one of G and H. Okay, so vertex edge will be same. Edges are edges in G which are not present in H, and edges in H which are not present in G, and union of that. That means edges only in G union with edges only in H. That is all those edges which appears in exactly one of G and H. Okay, for example, you can take G as this graph with vertex at A, B, C and D, and here also H is with the same vertex set, but edges are, so this one and this one are the edges of G, and here edges of H. So this is same as G, and other edges, this will be BD, DA, AC. These are the edges in H. So what should be the symmetric difference of G and H? So this should be A, D, B, C. All the vertices should be there, and edges present in exactly one. Okay, so here edges present in exactly one, that I have AB is present only in G, correct? So this will be there. AD is present in only H, correct? So AB, AD, DC is present only in G. What about AC? Only present in H. BD, this is present in only in H. What about this edge? CB, and here also CB. This is present in both of these graphs. That's why this will not be present here, correct? So this will be the symmetric difference of G and H. Okay, likewise you can consider many more graphs. For example, if you want symmetric difference of exactly same graph, if you are just taking P3, 1, 2, 3, symmetric difference with the same, so here it will be, you will be having just 3 vertices, because both the edges are present in, that is both the graphs have all the edges. Okay, and if you have this kind, and 1 tree, another graph, and this vertex, then this is your G, this is your H, then symmetric difference will be G symmetric difference with H, then it will be cycle C3. Okay, because these two edges present only in second graph, and this edge is present only in first graph. Okay, that's why all the edges will be present in G plus H. Okay, you can consider this example. Before that, the symmetric difference, this definition of symmetric difference applies to the matchings also. if you have only edges, obviously that with the endpoints, correct? So vertices are there. So if you are given two matchings, so you can also find the symmetric difference between two matchings. M and M dash are the two matchings, then it will be just edges present only in M and union with edges present only in M dash. Okay, so this is for two matchings M and M dash. Okay, so same way you can find some symmetric difference of this matching. Here this is the given graph, okay, and here the black pen represents, that is these edges represents M, this one and this one, and here you have this edge and this edge, and this red pen M dash present M dash. So these are the matching. So this edge is repeating, and here this one. So here this edge is present in both. Okay, so this edge is present in both. So M and M dash here I have explained. Okay, find symmetric difference of these two matching. Okay, so you will be considering all the vertices. Okay, so all the vertices will be here. Okay, if this would be two graphs, and if in terms of matchings, then you can consider only edges. Okay, so here it is just consider all the edges of M dash. So here these are the these are the edges of M, that is this one, and this one, and matching from M dash are given by this one, and this one. This is present in both, so we will discard it. Okay, so we will not take this one. So the final answer will be this one, correct? So that is the symmetric difference between two matchings. Okay, so M and M dash. Okay, so this is symmetric difference between M and M dash we have calculated. This is what C6, a cycle of order 6, and this is what P4, correct? So this is P4 union with P6, C6. Okay, so now whenever you have symmetric difference between two matchings, then there will be either a path or an even cycle. So it will be either a cycle that will be even or a path. Okay, likewise you can consider many other example, and you can see always you will be getting the symmetric difference as path or an even cycle. Why this is so? Because in symmetric difference you are getting the edges from M, for example M1 and M2 are the matchings, then edges from M1 and edges from M2 are coming. So that's why this will be either it will be one edge from the M1, another edge is from the M2, and third edge is also from the M3, M1. Okay, so these edges if present then it's okay, otherwise this is P3, and if this would be present in M2 then it would be C4. Okay, correct? So P4 and C4. Okay, union with, if there is some this edge is also there, then and this edge is there. So then what you will consider? Here this is P3 and here it is this one. No C3 will be there, that is there will be no this edge, because this edge is not the part of M and not the part of M dash. That's why this will never be present in symmetric difference. That's why there is no odd cycle. Okay, so cycle if present it will be even cycle, and path it can be odd or even, doesn't matter. Okay, So now you can have this lemma, that is lemma number 3.1.9. Every component of a symmetric difference we have of two matchings is a path or an even cycle. That's what I just discussed, correct? So here every component of symmetric difference of two matching is a path or an even cycle. Okay, this we need to prove. So you can consider two matchings are given, m and m dash, on symmetric difference is given, correct? So take out some symmetric difference. So here I have just taken m symmetric difference with m dash. Okay, here m1 and m2 are, that is m and m dash are the matchings. Okay, so now we need to show that symmetric difference is, that is f we have considered, is a path or an even cycle. And here in f matchings we have only edges, correct? Obviously with incident with some vertices, endpoints, correct? So we have edges. So how this is related? These edges will be related with path. How this edges, combination of these edges will be giving us a path or an even cycle, correct? So here if I somehow able to show that maximum degree of that symmetric difference, the final graph where we will be coming up with that, so that contains the maximum degree 2, because in a path or in cycle, what is the maximum degree? So in case of cycle, obviously degree is 2 everywhere, cycle is 2 regular, and in case of path is with endpoints, and endpoints of a path have 1 degree, that is the end vertices. Okay, and except endpoints you have 2 degree. So at most it is 2 na. So that's why we will be just showing that maximum degree of this f, that is the symmetric difference of m and m dash, is at most 2. And if you have any path, then maximum degree is 2. Any cycle, obviously maximum degree 2. And if you have any maximum degree of a graph is given as at most 2, then either it can be a path or it can be a cycle. Okay, this is if and only if case. So maximum degree 2 if and only if G can be Pn or Cn. Okay, some path or cycle. So that is the observation, correct? So that we will be using here. So symmetric difference, consider f we have just taken. Now m and m dash are matching. So every vertex of f, or you can just say in one matching, you can just say every vertex in m has at most one incident edge from each edge, correct? That is the every vertex has at most one, either suppose this is the graph, here matching is this given, correct? So this here we don't have any edge. Okay, so it is either 0 edge incident with this one or 1 edge. So that is the every vertex has at most one incident edge from m as well as m dash. Okay, so it is happening from each of from m and m dash. So if I consider as a whole, that is symmetric difference, if I consider, then f has at most 2 edges. So obviously every vertex can have like this, then it can be with this one, and it can be with kind of this one, correct? Okay, so every vertex has at most 2 edges. So this one, and here 1, this 2, this one 2, this one 1, and some vertex is there that is not incident with any edge of m and not incident with any edge of m dash. So that's why it can be at most 2. So again every vertex has at most one incident edge from each of m and m dash. So that's why the symmetric difference f has at most 2 edges, because we are considering m and m dash, that is exactly one edge from each of m and m dash, correct? One edges, or you can just say all the edges non-common. So all the uncommon edges we are just taking in this symmetric difference. That's why f has at most 2 edges. It can be 2, 1 or 0. Correct? At each vertex. That's why in f we have every vertex is at most 2 edges. So for this one 2 edges. Here 2 edges we have considered. Here suppose we have just considered 1 edge. Here 1 edge. Here no edge. Okay. So this is f we got. Suppose. Okay, and here we are having this edge is from m dash and these two edges are from m. Okay, now this implies the graph maximum degree of this graph f will be at most 2. Here you can count 0, 1, 1 degree, here 2. So maximum degree is 2. Now every component of this f symmetric difference will be either path or a cycle. If all the degrees are 2, then it will be a cycle, otherwise it will be a path. So this is, here we have two components, that is this one and this one. So here we have two components, that is first this one and another this one. This is P1 path of order 1 and here P4 path of order 4. Correct? So here also if m is this one denoted by black one, m dash is denoted by red one, then symmetric difference is given by this one. Correct? So here degree of all the vertices in f, this is f, is at most 2, you can see. So that's why every component of this f is either cycle or path. Okay, so every component of this one is a path or a cycle. So we have just showed that every component is cycle or a path of the symmetric difference. Now we need to show that if cycle, then it will be even cycle. Okay, and obviously it will be even cycle because if all the edges present on this cycle are coming from alternatively from edges of m and m dash. Okay, this one edges from m dash, so this one, next one edges from m, this is from m dash, this is from m dash, and this is from m. So obviously alternatively it contains, that is the edges of f alternates between the edges of m and m dash. That's why it is total number of edges will be same from m and m dash. Correct? So there will be even number of edges incident with this one. So every path or cycle alternates between edges of m, edges from only m and edges belonging to only m dash. Correct? So that is this m minus m dash means edges present in m but not in m dash, and this means edges present in m dash but not in m. Okay, so here each cycle has even length because here an equal number of edges are coming from m and m dash. So this one, 3 edges, and the remaining 3 are coming from here. So if it would be odd, then it will be surely path, not cycle. Okay, because then it will be, for example, you are just having here 5, so suppose this is an edge, so that this would not be criteria. Correct? So anyway, we have done. Correct? So every component of this symmetric difference of 2 matching is a path or an even cycle. So this we have just explained. Okay, now you can come to Hull's condition for a matching. So what do you understand by this Hull's condition? We have done some matching, saturated, some vertex are saturated by m, and we have also done that in any graph matching exists, matching of particular cardinality, particular size exists or not. So here in case of bipartite graph, or you can just say XY bigraph, you are taking G as, then what is the necessary and sufficient condition? That there should be existing some matching with some cardinality. Okay, so that is given by Hull's condition. So this is Hull's matching condition. So here we are, this is for bipartite graph. Okay, so here we are considering, let G be in XY bigraph if a matching M saturates X, then it should be for every subset of X there must be at least equal to S cardinality vertices that have neighbors in S. Okay, that is from outside of this one. That is, this is the Hull's condition, that is for every subset of X, whether it is X or some proper subset of S, X. Okay, X is one of partite sets. So X and Y bigraph we are just taking. Okay, this should be, cardinality of this should be less than equal to cardinality of its neighborhood of its vertices, that is the union of neighborhood of its vertices. What is N of S means here? N is the union of all the neighborhood of points of S, vertices from S. So neighborhood of elements are set S, and if you take union, then you will be having neighborhood of set S. Okay, so if this cardinality, if you take any S, and if you are able to show that this cardinality is less than equal to neighborhood of this one, then there will be surely a matching exist with which saturates the all the points of X, that is the with cardinality equal to X cardinality. Okay, that means this one. So there will be existing a matching M with cardinality X, that means which saturates all the points of X, correct, if there is this condition. So this condition is the Hull's condition. Obviously if you have some X cardinality is greater and some Y cardinality is lesser, 3, and here you have some edges, then you can't have a matching with which saturates all the points of X. Okay, because its cardinality is greater, and this is the idea where Hull's used this, that if even if you are able to show that there exists a small subset of X whose neighborhood is a small subset of X whose neighborhood is violating this condition, that whose neighborhood is cardinality is less than this set, suppose this S, this is neighborhood of S, even then you can't find a matching with which saturates this X, or you can just say you can't find a matching with size X. Okay, matching cardinality should be X, you can't find that. Okay, so this condition is specially used in those cases to violate this condition, that is if to check whether there, to show that there does not exist a matching of cardinality X. Okay, when XY is a pi graph. Okay, obviously you can use this Hull's condition for a matching to show that a matching exists or not with that particular cardinality, that is X. Okay, now you can consider Hull's theorem. So proof is not there in your lesson plan, so that's why I will not be doing that. So here in XY bigraph, yeah, here this is the if a matching saturate this one, then this thing, and if this thing is happening, then you can just say there exists a matching, that is if and only if condition. Hull's proves that, that is in XY bigraph G has a matching that saturates X, means to say that it has a matching with cardinality X. Okay, with cardinality X, If and only if you have for all s subset of x, s cardinality is less than equal to its neighborhood cardinality. Okay, that's it. So this is if and only if case, both way it should happen. Okay, so you can consider this G as a graph to check whether this is true or not. So here you can just consider XY graph. So here suppose this is the graph where these people have applied for these posts in some job. Okay, and we have exactly one post for every that is one post for every different jobs. So we have to select accordingly. So the question is, can we do the same or not? Okay, such that the qualified candidate get the job. The answer is no, because there does not exist a perfect matching. First, perfect matching does not exist, or there does not exist a matching which saturate X. Correct? That is not that is all the people are applying for these one are not qualified ones. Okay, or post are not for those people. Okay, you can, and how to show that there exists a matching or not, you can use this condition. So here this is the graph corresponding to the situation, and G has no matching that saturates X. Correct? So G has no matching that saturates X. As we have, you can consider this is a set, this one is a set. Okay, and its neighborhood is this one, and this set is having cardinality 4. Okay, so its cardinality is 4 and its neighborhood cardinality is 3. So which is bigger? S cardinality is bigger. Okay, but we did Hall's condition is S cardinality should be either equal or less than its neighborhood. Correct? So here we are having some violating condition. That's why there does not exist any matching which saturates X. Okay, so that's where we use the Hall's condition. Okay, so here you can we can show that some corollary based on this theorem, that is for every k, for k greater than 0, every k regular bipartite graph has a perfect matching. Okay, k regular bipartite graph has a perfect matching. So here if G is a k regular bipartite graph, so bipartite graph obviously it will be having two partite set. So you can consider G is a bigraph, XY bigraph. Okay, so this is a XY bigraph. So if XY bigraph, X and Y are the partite set in that. Okay, if it is k regular bigraph, then we have done this question earlier, that is it's these bipartite set, this partite set's cardinality will be same, that is both partite set will be having same number of element if this is k regular and k is greater than 0. Okay, so here how we showed this one. So we have done that k regular means degree of all the vertices is k. Correct? So degree of all the vertices is given as k. So and for a bipartite graph you can count the degree sum as m, that is giving you m, and that is present in one partite set. So x belongs to x, and this is same as degree sum, and that is again equal to m. So here degree sum present in second partite. Okay, so this one, so you can count this one in case of bipartite graph. So this is k regular, so this one will be k, this one will be k. Okay, so this is equal, so this is gone. So we will be taking just this one. So here x belongs to x, and here degree of x will be, because all the vertices are having k degree, so it will be x and y, both the vertices have k degree. So y belongs to y. So what is this number? This k will be added the number of vertices in x times that is x cardinality times, so x into cardinality of x, and here k will be added equal to y cardinality time. So here it will be k into y cardinality, this set. So here we can cancel k because k is non-zero, correct? So we can divide by k throughout, correct? So x cardinality we got equal to y cardinality, correct? Correct? So here we have done that if xy is a k-regular bipartite graph, then it will be both partite set have the same cardinality. Okay. So here we will be showing that a matching that saturates x will be also saturating y. Correct? Because the cardinality is same, so it is enough to show, that is, it is sufficient to show a Hall's condition satisfy for this one, that is, Hall's condition is true for this graph. You can take this set as x or y, doesn't matter, because both have the same cardinality. A matching that saturates one of these set, that will be saturating the other also, that is, every matching that saturates x will be a perfect matching, or you can say every matching which saturates y will be also saturating x, correct? That will be also perfect matching. So we are now left with just to show Hall's condition for this set. Okay, so here you can just take m be the number of edges from S. So here x I have just taken, and S be any arbitrary set from x. Okay, and m is the number of edges from S. Okay, suppose we are just taking this one, correct? So these are the number of edges m from S to ns. So this is S, and here we have ns. So ns we have this one. Okay, and here we have from outside one, this one, it may be, correct? Yeah, this is S and this is ns, correct? So as m is the number of edges from S to ns, so how many number of edges will be there? So m will be exactly equal to k into S cardinality, because G is k regular, so there are k edges incident with every vertex of S, correct? So a total number of edges will be k into S cardinality. Okay, so these m edges are incident with ns. There might be some more edges that is incident with this vertices of S, that is from outside, correct? So that will be m is less than equal to k into, if I multiply k, that is the k is the regularity of this one. Okay, that will be obviously less than this one. These edges, that is these edges, will be less than equal to k into this one. Okay, because k is greater than, k is at least 1 greater than 0, correct? So then this condition is true, and by this we have, so this condition was true as m edges are incident to ns. So obviously ns have incident edges, as ns can have cardinality even greater than m. So if we multiply this k with this one, then it will be greater than this one. Okay, and obviously it can have some less cardinality as well. So if you multiply k with ns, only then you will be getting less or equal to this one, correct? So then m is equal to k into S cardinality, and this right hand side is as it is, and k is greater than 0, then this we are getting S cardinality is at least ns cardinality. Okay, so that's what Hall's condition we have done. So we have just taken S from this x be any arbitrary subset, we have just shown this is the Hall's condition, and this is happening for all the vertex, all the arbitrary sets. Okay, so G has a matching by Hull's condition. This satisfy which saturates X. So and this will become the perfect matching because we have discussed here. So that's it for today. I'll be discussing next this one, minimum maximum theorem, in next lecture. Okay, so I hope you liked it. Bye bye.